Our cases begin in West Des Moines, a city in Polk, Dallas, Warren, and Madison counties in the state of Iowa. As of the 2020 census, the city population was 68,723, but in 1982, the city was much smaller. At that time, the population was approximately 22,000. Johnny Gosch, a 12-year-old living in West Des Moines, was a paperboy for the Sunday edition of the Des Moines Register. It was a routine that on each Sunday morning at 5:45 a.m., Johnny would wake up, grab his canvas delivery bag, his red wagon, his dog, Gretchen, and walk to the street corner where he would pick up his papers to deliver. On this Sunday morning, September 5th, 1982, Johnny would wake up, grab his canvas delivery bag, his red wagon, and his dog, Gretchen, and head to the corner to pick up his bundles of newspapers to deliver. On this morning, he and another paperboy arrived at the same time and began to sort and fold newspapers and secured them closed with rubber bands. During this time, a driver stopped to ask for directions. The boys helped, and the man went on his way. Then the boys got moving, went their separate ways, and began to deliver the newspapers. A couple minutes after splitting up, and Johnny still in sight, other paperboys said that he saw Johnny talking to a man about a block away. It was still early in the morning, so the light was dim, and he couldn't make out who he was talking to. He wasn't sure if it was the man they gave directions to earlier, but he didn't notice Johnny or the dog Gretchen in any trouble, so he continued on his route. Approximately an hour later, a customer called the Gosch home to see if Johnny was on his way with her newspaper. With this call, Johnny's dad became concerned and went driving around the neighborhood looking for his son. He quickly found Johnny's wagon, full of undelivered newspapers, at a corner along his normal route. While Johnny's father was out looking for Johnny, the dog Gretchen found her way home alone. When Johnny's father returned home around 8:30 a.m., they called the police. In the early 1980s across the United States, many police departments observed a mandatory 24 to 72-hour mandatory waiting period before filing a missing persons report, even for a minor child. So the West Des Moines Police Department wasn't in much of a rush to assist on this case, at least initially. The West Des Moines Police Department supposedly took 45 minutes just to arrive at the Gosch home. After much pleading by Johnny's parents, the police finally called officers to the scene. Approximately 30 officers, neighbors, and other friends searched the Gosch's neighborhood for Johnny. When asked if the West Des Moines Police Department would call the FBI for assistance in the case, reportedly responded, "We do not consider Johnny to be in danger until you, his parents, prove his life is in danger." There was never any trace of Johnny Gosch found. The Gosches did not stop searching for their son. Just a month after Johnny's disappearance, they created the Johnny Gosch Foundation to help fund private searches for Johnny. 2 years after the disappearance of Johnny, the Gosches and other families with missing children established the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The Gosches even went a step further and lobbied for the Johnny Gosch Bill in the state of Iowa. The bill, signed into law on July 1st, 1984, mandated immediate police response when a minor was reported as missing. This bill was also adopted in 8 additional states. Just 43 days after the Johnny Gosch Bill was signed into Iowa law, another boy went missing. Eugene Martin, 13, left his home on the morning of August 12, 1984, on the south side of Des Moines, Iowa, to deliver the Sunday edition of the Des Moines Register. Just like Johnny 2 years earlier, Eugene went to pick up his bundles of newspapers and sat down to start sorting and folding. Witnesses that passed Eugene on the road that morning said they saw him having a friendly conversation with a man while he was filling his delivery bag. After the sightings, a phone call was made to Eugene's newspaper route manager to complain that she had not yet received her newspaper that morning. The manager decided to go where the papers were dropped off to see if they had been picked up yet, and he found Eugene's delivery bag full, but Eugene was nowhere to be found. Assuming Eugene decided to quit or just not work that day, the manager delivered the papers himself and then went to Eugene's home to see if he could speak with Eugene. Eugene's father, Don, answered the door. He was very concerned to hear that Eugene hadn't delivered the papers, nor did he come back home, so he went searching around the neighborhood. By 8:40 a.m., Mr. Martin had called the police. The Des Moines Police Department learned their lesson from the previous mistakes in Johnny's case and immediately responded en masse. They sent out APBs, roadblocks, searches, and neighborhood canvassing. A retired Des Moines police officer, James Rowley, recalled that, quote, "a lot of shoe leather went into the canvases," because of his then lieutenant didn't want, quote, another West Des Moines deal with a, quote, botched investigation. Rowley followed up on 2,000 to 3,000 tips and leads, taking him from Mexico to Canada. While every potential lead was followed up on, nothing turned out to be credible. Quote, "There's never been a solid lead, a bone found, a fragment found. We didn't turn up any evidence. Police were never able to link the disappearance of the boys, and like Johnny Gosch, Eugene's case went cold. After the most recent disappearance of Eugene, a grocery store in Des Moines, Iowa began printing information about both Eugene and Johnny on their paper bags. Following the grocery store, Anderson Erickson Dairy, out of Des Moines, started to print pictures and bios of the boys on the side of their half-gallon milk cartons. A week after, another dairy in the area followed suit, and by 1985, the National Child Safety Council began a nationwide campaign called the Missing Children Milk Carton Program, which spread nationwide. Johnny Gosch and Eugene Martin have been missing for 38 and 36 years respectively. While both cases are still open in the Des Moines Police Department, both victims are now presumed dead. To this day, both cases remain unsolved.